Hi, this is Amanda Winter from Livingston Library, and I'm here sharing a lesson with you about how to crochet a small bag. The lesson has been divided into 4 parts, and this is part 2. If you haven't already, I recommend that you go and watch part 1 before starting this part. For this part of the lesson, we're going to be covering how to begin the sides of the bag, and we are starting with round 2. So I've marked my stitch marker, round marker, and we're going to be doing 2 double crochets into the first 3 stitches. So on the first stitch, you can see I actually have marked the front loop. The front loop of the stitch is the loop nearest you, and that's where we'll be putting our stitches for this round, always in the front loop, the loop nearest you. So I'm going to go into that front loop only. I'm going to wrap the yarn again. I'm going to wrap it, oops, and pull off 2, wrap it, and pull off 2. I'm going to go back into that same loop, but first I'm going to remove the stitch marker. I'm going to put it on that new double crochet stitch, because this is now the first stitch in the round 2. So here I'm going back into that loop, the one that wiggles, because we've just put the stitch in there, and we're putting a second one, wrap it again, we'll pull it back, pull off 2, pull off 2. Alright, wrap it. Now we're going into the next stitch, just the front loop. So you see the work moves as I pull it. So we're not going in that loop. We've already done 2 stitches. Instead we're going to go into the loop to the left of it. So we wrap it, and pull it through, wrap it, pull off 2, wrap it, pull off 2. We wrap it again. We're going to go back into that same loop. There we go. Okay, now we're going into the third stitch, just the front loop. Wrap it. Wrap it. Okay, so now we're going to be going on to step 2, which is double crochet once in each of the 9 stitches that follow. But always just in the front loop for this whole round. So I'm going to show me going into each of these stitches. If you feel comfortable with this portion of the lesson, you can just fast forward a little bit. I'm going to show me doing these stitches, because I find when you're learning a new stitch, it's helpful to see it a few times. You'll notice I'm using my fingers to move the loops. As you become more confident, you'll be able to just twist the hook to get it through. But for now, when I use my fingers, it goes slower, so I feel it's easier for you to see the different steps to the stitch. If you get confused about where to put the hook, you might see that I'm actually pulling on the work from time to time. When I pull on the work, it moves the stitch that I've just put a stitch into, so I'll know to go into the one to the left of it. I'm moving down the row. Making sure just to get that front loop. There we go. Now once we have double crocheted in the 9 stitches, we're going to go back to step 1, because we're doing a repeat, so we'll be doing 2 double crochets in 3 stitches. Let me see if we're there yet. Oh, we're going into a new stitch, so there's a little tight, it's okay. Back through, wrap it, pull. Alright, now we're going to go back into that same stitch, having completed our 9 double crochets. We're doing 2 in this stitch, we're doing 2 in the next stitch, again just the front loops. Going back in that same loop. Going now on to the 3rd stitch. Just going to grab that front loop, pull off, wrap it around, pull off 2, pull off 2, and wrap it and put it back in that front loop of the 3rd stitch. And now we're going to be doing 1 double crochet in each of the next 9 stitches, but just the front loops each time. Alright, so I just pulled on the work to make sure I was going into the right next stitch. It's always good to do that periodically, and if you're unsure, you can double check. Into the front loop of the next one. Wrap it. And put it into the next one. There we go. Wrap it. Front loop of the next one. Oops, just the front loop, not the front and back. Just move the stitch marker out of the way. Tug on my work to see. I almost missed a stitch there. It's always good to check. Wrap it, pull it around, wrap it, oops, pull off 2, wrap it, pull off 2, wrap it around, go into that front loop, pull off 2, wrap it, pull off 2, wrap it. We've got 2 more stitches to go. 1, and the very final one. So we get the front loop, wrap it, pull off 2, wrap it, pull off 2, and we have completed round 2. So we're going to mark that on our stitch round marker to round 3. And I just want to talk a little bit about the term round. I've said that a couple times now, and what it is we're literally going around in a circle or oval shape. So it's called a round. Each time we come around and come back to the stitch marker, that's 1 round completed. That's how you keep track of where you are in the steps. So you'll see that we're going to be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around, this time in the front and back loop, and this will be for this round, round 3, and you're just going to keep going for up to round 17. So I'll just show you the first stitch for this round. So wrap it, and we'll put it into front loop, and make sure to also, front loop, and the back loop, so both parts of the stitch. So wrap it, pull it back through, wrap it, pull off 2, wrap it, pull off 2. I'm going to move my stitch marker to mark this first stitch of round 3. And I'm going to continue doing a double crochet in each of the following stitches. So wrap it, go into the front and back loop. There we go. Oh, let me just make sure there's front loop and there's the back loop. wrap it, back through, wrap it, pull off 2, wrap it, pull off 2, and you're just going to continue on. I'm tugging at the stitch just to see. You're going to go all the way around, and you're going to just then change the round counter to 4 and so on, and keep going around until you've got up to 17, and then you can join me for part 3 of the lesson. Good luck!